Chair Williams, members of the board. The previous item we were discussing on A14, one of the board members brought up the concept of double standards. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. We believe that what the county did after the debris flow was essential, i.e. dumping the mud at Goleta Beach and, hauling it to Ventura and eventually hauling, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of truckloads to Buellton. Having said that, if somebody in the private sector were to go and dump debris at the beach and call it beach nourishment, they'd be subject to a felony prosecution. If a farmer or rancher or anybody else dumps temporarily stored debris in the San Ynez riverbed, they'd be subject to a felony. So the question is why is it that the government could do these things, but the private sector can't? And I said all that to say this: where are the private homeowners and landowners going to dump their mud? Is the county and the state and the feds going to call it hazardous material? Are they going to have to haul it to a hazardous waste facility at their own expense? Is there going to be any federal assistance? Is that federal assistance going to be a loan versus, some sort of aid? And nobody's talking about this. And, the bottom line, there was a quote in one of the local papers when somebody was complaining about them dumping at Goleta Beach. And again, we're not criticizing it. You had to do it to save lives. And plus, environmentally speaking, that's where Mother Nature would have washed it and flushed it anyway if we didn't have all the human built environment in between. And so we consider some of that almost a natural process. But you have to ask yourself, what's an emergency? And when somebody said, why are you dumping it here? I said, we don't have the luxury of other options. Because it's our emergency, it's government's emergency, it's the community's emergency. But as you mentioned, Exxon and Veneco didn't cause the pipeline break. And they were threatened with the loss of all their jobs, all their revenue, plus the tax revenue. They asked for an emergency permit to truck. We said, no, it's not an emergency under our land use code. And we don't want to have that many trucks on the freeway. When you look at how many trucks are on the freeway from your emergency versus theirs, why couldn't they have the luxury of options? And what I'm talking to you about today is double standards. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.